the belief, and until that changes, we will always have a problem. The belief is that Jonathan sold these things to cronies. Fact and final. So nothing comes under that after that is not receiving its input from this perception. Instead of us looking at the issues, yes, we should look at issues from the perspective of what we have. Yes, they sold, but they sold to human beings. They didn't sell to this thing. And they know who and who are involved. Human beings that will buy them. Even if you decide to go and sell to other people, they will still face the same problem that we are facing.
The Nigerian power problem gets our attention tonight on the program. So if there's one thing that the president must tackle, a lot of the economists and analysts are saying power, electricity is very important. Security, good. But when you talk about another priority, economy, electricity is very key. So let's get back to the conversation. I have Mr. George Utomi. He's an energy lawyer from Abuja studio. Mr. Olabode Shoumi is also an energy expert, and Dr. Sam Amadi, a former NERC chairman. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. You did disagree, Mr. Utomi. Quickly, let me come back to you briefly before I go to Mr. Shoumi. You were disagreeing with Dr. Amadi there about some of these critical issues and the issues that he raised. Essentially, your grounds, or what would you say is a major problem if President Buhari is watching this program right now?
The major problem is that there is a liquidity crisis in the entire value chain. And that is brought about by the fact that we do not have what is often described as cost-reflective tariffs as was agreed. Because once you privatize any industry, you must generally let go and allow market forces determine your price. Now, if the price that pops up creates problems for you politically, for example, if you have the masses you feel may be challenged by new prices, then you can come up with a scheme to take care of that. But to totally ignore it or to distort it would generally discourage investments that would come in.
All right, let me pause you for a moment. And let me allow Mr. Tommy, let me allow Mr. Shoumi to come into the conversation. The government will tell you, Mr. Fashola, for example, will say, we're working on incremental power generation, and that is the immediate. Would you say that there is an achievement in the last 4 years, or we're just in one spot? And looking at the next 4 years, what do you think that this government must seriously handle to fix power?
Thank you very much. I think first and fundamentally, the industry is a knowledge industry. So even the questioning to the industry needs to come from a point of view of knowledge. So I would like to take this. Yes, the government has significant and basic responsibilities, but even the consuming public owe it to themselves to be knowledgeable. I say that because some of the questions that are asked are not the right questions that will move government into action. And why do I say that? A simple analysis. We have about 13,000 megawatts installed capacity, theoretically. Out of that, 8,500 is actually functional capacity. Now, the DISCOs, I'm talking about all of them, the 7 of them, get about 3,500 to 4,000 megawatts. So in between 8,500 megawatts that is generated and 4,000 megawatts that is distributed, something happens. So somebody should ask questions on that. And it is really the consuming public that will ask that. The other issue is this. We talk about the DISCOs not doing this, not doing that. But the reality is that if the DISCOs are eliminated today, will the solution to the power sector come? No. That shows that the problems goes way beyond the DISCO. Another issue is the issue of pricing. Yes, people will use cost-reflective tariff and all that. But let's say it in simple language that we all can connect with. If I buy a service for 10 naira and I sell it for 6 naira, and I bring the head, a Nobel Prize laureate in economics, to head that company, and I bring the FBI to ensure controls that nobody steals. The basic issue is that that company is logically running at a loss. The sector, the whole industry value chain is running at a loss. And that is what people seem to have forgotten. So it is not so much about what government is going to do. It's not even so much about what the discos or the gencos are going to do. The issue is that the first thing, the fundamental thing is that the industry must run with a price that reflects the cost and the production of what it does. Then when you now drive into
Mr. Shomumi, because of our time, we do not have the time. But I will put you guys on the spot. Let's assume the three of you are being called by the country in Nigeria today to say, fix the power sector in Nigeria today. Let me begin with you, and I need your intervention quickly before we close the program. Let me begin with you, Dr. Sam Amadi. If the power industry and Nigeria don't want to care about how it's been solved, they just want it to be solved. If it's going to be solved today, where would it start from? A revolution in that sector, and how will it happen?
I think three quick things to be done. One is that the government should think about bringing back the provincial task force on power, a task force, interministerial high-level task force. Why is this so? If you look at, we ended, when I was in government, we ended at 4,800 before I left in December 2014. And our highest so far after 4 years is 5,000 something as at November 2018, last year, okay? Around November 19, I think. So that means the same bottlenecks. You need a fast-track, high-level execution activity around clearing the bottlenecks. Number two thing you must do, so there must be a provincial task force coming back, interministerial, that has everyday vigilance on the network. The second important thing is this. See, I agree with my colleagues that pricing is important, but at the same time, beyond pricing is capacity. I think that perhaps the disco franchise is bigger than to be managed by one disco. So what can you do? The regulator can give new benchmark.
Let's allow Mr. George Otomi to weigh in here.
Then if you don't perform,
Otomi,
we can
your intervention
and give to others.
Your final thought, Mr. Otomi, what must be done urgently? Quickly, please.
What should be done urgently is for us to let the prices go, and it can be done not necessarily by cutting prices across the board. We can look at the concept of the incremental power through franchising, so that those who are in the bracket that can pay cost-reflective tariffs can pay, because that's already going on. And then you can then begin to look how you can attract more investment. You need a climate that would bring much needed capital. The capital is not in Nigeria. The atmosphere must attract that capital from abroad.
The ball is in your court now, Mr. Showumi, and I need you to send us to the end of the program, just in a few seconds, what must be done, and urgently too.
One, the components of the MITO tariff that are dollar denominated, the price of gas and all of that, the government needs to look for a way to work with the Ministry of Petroleum and the central bank to ensure that those factors does not affect the tariff. The dollar denomination aspect needs to go. Number two is that the language and the messages that come out of the sector to the external public, by the external world, needs to be positive. Nobody is going to invest in an environment where the language of those who are running it is wrong. Number three, and perhaps most importantly, is that there needs to be a basis to increase the level of trust among the stakeholders, from the consumers to the gencos, to the transmission company, to the discos. Trust is fundamental to the
I must sincerely thank you, and the nation will be grateful to the three of you, Mr. George Utomi, an energy lawyer, Dr. Sam Amadi, a former NEC chairman, and Mr. Olabode Showumi, energy expert. Thank you so much indeed, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Let's assume that the president and those in power have listened to you tonight, and Nigerians are expecting that in the next 4 years, the power issue will be resolved. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Shiwa Kimale. Bye-bye.